hears these sayings of mine and follows them, I will liken them unto a wise man who built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the wind blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. The present moment is like a rock. It is a solid foundation for your life within the world of time. Make the present moment the foundation of your life. Honor the present moment as the truth of life and the doorway to God. Only then will you become established in presence. Only then may you declare, God, it is accomplished. At last, I have come home. I am restored to oneness and the truth of life. The river has returned to the ocean. Heaven on earth is revealed. And the angels sing, Hallelujah.
That was pretty moving, wasn't it? Very short, but very uplifting at the same time. I realize that there are probably two of you who don't know me. So my name is not Jeremiah, it's Marlene. It's nice to see you, Wendy. I don't know that you've ever met me. And then Mary, I'm not sure if you know me either, but everybody else is good. So do you have anything you want to talk about in relation to this last part that just played? No feelings to share in relation to it? It's actually the most perfect segue into the piece that Jerry once played right after this. The next piece is called Presence, and it's really beautiful the way he describes everything. So if there's no one who has anything that they want to, oh yes, Patricia.
Well, as that was playing, I just was moved into how often I am not there because of just, you know, what's going on in the world. And, you know, I was just actually, I was late signing on because I'd totally forgotten about, you know, the class. I was on another planet, I think. So, yeah, it's difficult to be in the world but not of it. I guess. Yeah. So it's a huge challenge. Sometimes more than others. And this morning seemed like a big challenge. Didn't sleep well last night. Things like that, you know. So yeah. So it just really put it into focus for me. Yeah, for sure.
And how about you, Claire?
What it made me think about was how often during these times I hear spiritual leaders and others say, this is a time of great transformation, of the next step in evolution, that kind of thing. And I sure hope so. And his call to awaken, the time is now. And I just, unity has never been a movement that evangelized. We've never, I guess, historically, about that, people just served it just by living your life. And I get that. But I feel like, gosh, the message is so important. Why is it being screamed from the rooftops? I'm getting the message that my system is low. Can you hear me okay?
It's
Yeah.
kind of warbled.
Okay, I'll sit closer to the microphone. Anyway, I'll just stop talking and see what other people think about that. Yeah.
Yes, Richard.
I missed, I think, the essence of what you said. Can you summarize it in a short something? Because it was so choppy.
I'll try again. Just that so many spiritual leaders and teachers have been talking about how this present time is a time of transition, the next step in evolution. So I'm just wondering, how do you help ignite the waking up? I guess you just be who you are and allow.
Claire, it's not working again. Would you consider?
I could take my video off. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you hear me better now?
Oh yes.
Okay. Third time's a charm. So many spiritual leaders and teachers have been saying that this present time is a time of deep transformation, and we're on the brink of taking the next step in human evolution in terms of consciousness. And I was saying that the unity movement has not been a movement to evangelize, to try to, get believers or whatever. And I understand that, but it just feels like it's so critical and urgent that we get this message out of presence and in the now and awakening. Eckhart Tolle has been saying this for 20 years. So I guess we just live our lives and hope that it's contagious. What are your thoughts?
Yes, Richard.
Yeah, thanks for repeating that. Now, because without hearing you, it was what I was thinking also. And gosh, I woke up this morning concerned about, my main concern the last week has been the revolt against mask wearing and the extraordinary surge of, virus overrunning us again. And it just, and I think a couple weeks before, 2 weeks before that or something, I was occasionally having moments of terror where I was really frightened that we as a nation have gone completely insane. And I don't pay any attention to anything other than PBS NewsHour. So I don't know what's going on out there in the rest of the world or what people are listening to. But when I hear it or read the opinion things in the paper or whatever, it's like, wow, somebody on Facebook or someplace must be saying the most insane things. And all this stuff about personal liberty and, I have the right to kill you because I don't want to wear a mask, and so I woke up this morning again with two ideas that have been kind of a theme. One is, what kind of t-shirt do I want to wear with statements, like, why do you think you have the freedom to kill me? Put on a mask. And this morning it was a more compassionate one. It was sort of like, I care about you. I'm wearing a mask. I'd like to live in a world where we all care about each other, And anyway, so, kind of that gives you an idea of sort of where I've been. And then the other thought I had this morning was, all these various things I thought about that are kind of in line with what he's saying. That is, this is wake up and to myself and to everybody. And I keep wanting to have some way to have an influence. I'm not somebody that gets interviewed on the PBS NewsHour, you know. And I keep thinking about, well, how could I don't know anything about blogs. I don't know how that works. Gee, is that really effective? But again, this morning I woke up thinking, oh, I really should start a blog just so that I, you know, start to say these things I've been thinking or collecting or writing or whatever, just to do my part and try to bring us back from the edge of this insanity. And anyway, so the part, how this all relates to what Leonard was saying was that when he described the storm and being on a rock and a firm foundation of the present moment, two things. One was, oh, is that what he meant when he says, Peter, you're the rock I'm going to build my church on? Is this really what he meant? Wow, did that get screwed up? And, you know, the most egotistical, misogynistic of all the disciples was the one that became the first pope. I mean, that's what he wanted. And so I've always have trouble with that one. It's like, what was the metaphor there, and what did it really mean? And then the other part that really surprised me was, oh, it was like a description of earth changes that, you know, from the Hopi prophecies or wherever, you know, that it's come from. That whole sort of vision of the storm and blowing us away, and to anyway, I just never, you know, I'd always thought, oh, the way to avoid that is to be living in harmony with the earth and being ecological and, you know, doing all this kind of stuff. And, you know, instead he's saying, oh, it's much more fundamental. It's much more basic. Your rock is what makes the rock of the present moment is what allows you to live in connection with source all the time. And, you know, and that brings me back to the way of mastery with seek first the kingdom, you know, everything else will take care of itself, you know. So, gosh, how does that relate to my fear, terror, anxiety? Sort of like Pat was talking about. And how would that influence my thinking of putting out a blog? You know, so that's what this is up for me. And
Wendy?
Thank you, Richard. That was beautifully said. And everyone's comments, I think, are resonating with what I've been feeling, which is this sense of, and I think Leonard described it perfectly, which is, if my house is built on a solid foundation, then everything that's going out in the world that's buffeting me really can't get past the ego or the structure or the foundation. So that's aspirational, right? Because I still feel buffeted by what's going on in the world. And to Richard, your comment about I still feel fear and anxiety, that is definitely the ego, right? That's the part of us that's wired for survival. And its job is to help us survive. But I think it's figuring out the way that we come into resonance with that by, when we're feeling that anxiety, just going back to that feeling of groundedness in the earth and feeling that we are supported, that the universe is a benevolent and supportive place. And my question is actually a kind of a larger one, which is, when I'm anticipating what I need to do to keep my community safe and to keep myself safe in this current scenario, I do what I can. I wear masks, I socially distance, I don't go to places where I feel I'm putting myself or my family at risk. I write opinion pieces for the newspaper when I see something that somebody has said that I find to be so egregious that I feel called to respond to it. But it's that, how does one remain present and also do things that are forward looking? How does one remain present and
traveling pilgrimage through the Georgia,
plan a vacation, plan a trip to the grocery store, pay the bills? I'm kind of stuck on that idea of, if I'm always present, then I'm not thinking about the future and I'm not thinking about the past. But to live in this world, I'm not sitting isolated on a rock apart from other people. I'm interacting with other people. So can I do those things from a place of presence, I guess, is my question.
And Leonard's going to direct or discuss that in the next video. Yeah.
Good.
And I thought I would share with you one thing that I noticed, or that I started practicing when Ruthie and Verena were born, was there were so many times that I thought, wow, there's no way I can deal with this. This is too much for me. And then I would say to myself, but wait a second, apparently God thought it wasn't too much. So I'm not going to pay attention to what I think. I'm just going to keep reminding myself that apparently God's holding me through this. So don't think about how scared you are. Don't think about any of that, because God absolutely knows more than you do. And that saved me so many times, because it would turn off that message of fear that would have otherwise run through my head.
Thank you.
Yeah. So are we ready to see the next? It's about an hour long. And so I don't know if we'll see the whole thing today, because if you feel like there's a time that you want to stop, it's not like this video that was just played where there were real distinct breaks. But certainly if something really resonates with you and you say, hey, wait, we want to talk about, or I want to talk about this, wave your hands or something and we'll stop. And if we get through the whole thing, awesome. If we don't, awesome. Okay?
This is a good group of people who are smart.
Okay, so we're officially beginning now. What does that mean? That means that we're coming together in presence, because that's what this teaching is about. It's about coming out of our separate...
Yes, Claire.
We're not seeing the video. You have to share your screen, I think.
I did.
Oh, yeah, it says you did. Huh. Double click to enter full screen.
Well, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the screen. I mean, him.
Yeah, I'm not.
But it's stopped right now.
Yeah, I stopped it.
Okay.
But I see just a blank black. It says Jeremiah Farrell has started screen sharing.
Okay, so I'm going to back out of it and redo it. Do you see anything now? No? Okay.
Well, I see. Okay, now you're out.
Okay, so we'll do share screen again.
You need to share screen, and then you need to click on the application on the video itself to start it.
Yes.
And so what do you see on your screen?
worlds and coming into the one
Now
world,
the pictures here?
revealed through the door.
Are you seeing the video?
Yeah.
You are.
I'm now just hearing it, not seeing it. But that happened the last time also. For a while, it was just the audio, and then the picture came.
Do you have to turn off your web camera to get the screen share to happen?
No, I did the exact same thing I did last time for the first one. I don't know if it's because it's a Vimeo rather than the YouTube, but I'm thinking that even if the picture doesn't come up, it's a picture of Leonard, his face, his mouth moving. That's what the whole thing is. So
I'm fine just listening to it.
okay, so I'll give it a shot again and we'll see if you can hear it. Then I'd say we're almost all the way there. And if you get a visual, then you've got the whole thing. But if you can't hear it, that would be the big issue. So just let me know if that occurs.
Way of the present moment. Okay, so we're officially beginning now. What does that mean? That means that we're coming together in presence, because that's what this teaching is about. It's about coming out of our separate worlds and coming into the one world, revealed through the doorway of the present moment. When we're living within the mind, the past and future, we're living in our separate worlds. Each of us has a story and we're all living within those stories. But when we come out of the story, when we come out of the past and future, we start to experience what is really here. And as you settle into presence, as you relax into the present moment, you become more established in presence, you will start to discover an entirely different dimension of yourself. And you'll begin to discover an entirely different dimension of life. It's quite radically different. When you're present, truly present, you are love. It has nothing to do with who or what you love. You are the energy of love. You are the energy of acceptance. There's no judgment arising within you when you're present. If judgment is arising, that's a clue that you're not present. Whether you're judging yourself, judging others, judging any aspect of life, it just means you're not present. Because in presence, there literally is no judgment. You're not worried about what other people think of you. You're not concerned with other people's judgments. You're not trying to please others. You're not trying to live up to other people's expectations. It's as simple as, I am me, you are you. I am me, not you. We could all make that declaration. It's a really healthy declaration. I am me, not you. I'm not here for you. I'm just here. And when you do become present, you're literally leaving that world of the mind, the past and future, and you're entering the world of now, this moment. Life revealed through this moment, the doorway of this moment. Then you will start to discover the truth of who you are. When you're in the mind, you might think you're present, but we're constantly projecting our opinions, our past experiences, our limiting beliefs, our repressed feelings. We're constantly projecting them onto the present moment. We're not actually experiencing what's really here. But as you become more and more present, the mind falls silent. When you're truly present, you're here and nowhere else. And you're fully here, present with what is here. That's the simple key to being present. It's the simple key to coming out of the past and future world of the mind into the world of now. Just very gently bring yourself present with something that is here in the moment with you. If you can see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, touch it in this moment, it means it's here, so you can be present with it. The moment you're present with something that is here, now, in this moment of presence, you are an awakened being. This is it. Now, the ego will never rest. It'll never stop. It'll have you constantly. What's that? What is it?
Vacuum.
A vacuum? We'll just be present with the sound of the vacuum. We won't judge it, will we? Well, maybe just a little bit. We can afford a little bit of judgment for the vacuum. Well, we could go turn it off. Without judging it, we could just get up and we could love it as we turn it off. Because we're free beings and we can respond moment to moment to whatever's in the moment. If you can change something, change it. If you can't, then you might as well accept it. In this example, we can change it. We just did. But all that's of the past now. Everything other than this moment is the past. Or the future, if we're imagining into the future. But it's a world of illusion made up of your memories of the past, your imaginings into the future, or all your ideas, thoughts, concepts, opinions, and beliefs. This is what makes up the world of the mind. Then you project it all onto the present moment and you think you know what's going on. And the truth is nothing is going on. Just this. Just this moment as it is. And if you can relax into this moment as it is, then you're going to begin to feel an extraordinary level of peace arising within you. It's what Jesus called the peace that passeth understanding. Because understanding is still a function of the mind. Now you're present. Nothing to understand, nothing to do, just be. Just be here, present with what is here. Your body is breathing. You can be present with the body breathing. There are sounds, new sounds each moment. You can be present with the sound you hear in this moment. So simple. This teaching is about the awakening of human consciousness. And that's everyone's destiny. Sooner or later, we all have to awaken. We all will awaken. In fact, I could refine that and say, you're already a fully awakened being. You always have been, you always will be. But to the extent that you've become absorbed into the world of the human thinking mind, the past, the future, those thoughts that never stop, to that extent you disconnect from the truth that is ever present within you. Now, if you try and understand what I'm saying with your mind, you miss everything I'm saying. I'm always speaking to the awakened you. And if you're present in this moment, you're present as you hear, I'm present as I speak. We're equal in the expression of truth. Most of us are always caught within the mind, and the mind that never stops thinking. Has anyone noticed that the mind just doesn't stop thinking? Can we have a show of hands, please? I'm not sure you'd be human if you didn't raise your hand. Can we have a higher showing of hands? Who's got a mind that just doesn't stop thinking? Can be proud, come on. Me, come on, let's have some me. Good. Well, there are consequences to that. The fact that we're almost everyone on this planet is living within the mind, and a mind that just never stops thinking. Even when you're not choosing to think, even when you're not intending to think, those thoughts keep coming. And they never stop, which means we're always in the past or future world of the mind. That's where thoughts take you. To be present is your natural state. It's the truth of who you are. And there's only one way you can leave the present moment, only one way. You think your way out of here. That's okay, but then if you believe in your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions, your concepts, your beliefs, if you believe in any of it, you will find yourself imprisoned within the world of the mind, which is what has happened to humanity. We're all, for the most part, we're all living in a world of separation, and we're doing our best to avoid the pain of separation. And we're so good at distracting ourselves, trying to escape that feeling within us, that feeling of being separate, alone. We don't like that feeling. So we're constantly looking for love, looking for acceptance. Am I good enough? Am I included? Do you like me? Please don't leave me alone here. And we just get more and more lost in the story. So in a way, in order for there to be a huge shift within human consciousness, I'm not really just addressing you, I could be addressing anyone, everyone. In order for there to be a shift within human consciousness, we need to know that we have a choice. And what is that choice? Every moment of your life you have a choice. Which world will you live in this moment? In the world of the present moment, the truth of life, or the world of your mind, a world of illusion and separation? That's the choice that we have. But it's not enough to know that you have that choice. You have to know how to apply that choice and actually exercise that choice in your life so that you can notice at any given moment, you can notice, oh, I'm getting lost in my mind, the thoughts are really racing, feelings are coming up, whatever it is. You need to be able to exercise your right to choose the present moment and then be present. You need to know how to come out of the mind, out of illusion, out of separation. Now you're here. So first the choice, the second then is the way to exercise that choice. And it's so simple. This is the key. Just bring yourself present with something that is here in the moment with you. If you can see it, you can be present with it. The moment I'm truly present with this flower, now my mind is silent. I don't have to stay with the flower. I'm with the flower now, but if I look out this way, now I'm with you. I don't have to lose presence. I remain present until I'm caught back into the mind. The thoughts take me back. Riding on the wings of thought, I enter the world of the mind. Riding on the wings of thought, I enter the world of time. Because in truth, we are timeless beings. You can feel it right now, Simon, I can see it. We are eternal beings. We are champions of God. We are champions of our own souls. That's who we really are. But we'll never come to recognize that for as long as we remain imprisoned in the world of the human thinking mind. There is another dimension available to us, which is presence. And as you open into presence, you begin to settle into presence, you become more deeply present, you might start to experience the more mystical dimensions of our existence. At the deeper levels of presence, you might start to sense and feel and open up into oneness. As the illusion of separation dissolves, you can actually feel it. It's palpable. You can feel it with each other, with the flowers, even in the space between us. There's a oneness, a presence. At the deeper levels of presence, really the deeper levels of presence, you might even begin to experience the living presence of God in all things present. This has nothing to do with religion, and it has nothing to do with believing in God. But there's a certain level of presence where you can actually experience the presence that is God, the presence that is in everything. For me, everything in physical form is the body of God. I don't care what it is. So bring yourself present with the body of God, and you'll begin to experience the presence of God in all things present. That's what omnipresence means. At the very deepest levels of awakened presence, you might even experience, or you might even recognize where we are. And where we are is actually heaven on earth, but we don't get it. We don't recognize it, we don't see it, we don't feel it, we don't know it, because we have to become so deeply present that heaven on earth will reveal itself to you within your consciousness. Heaven on earth is revealed within your consciousness. Oneness is revealed within your consciousness. Once it opens within your consciousness, it's everywhere. And it's so simple, being present. But it's not so easy to remain present. As you live your life, you go to work, you have your relationships. And this teaching accommodates that as well. There's two steps. Step one, presence. Step two, you go through a process of bringing conscious awareness to all the ways you're pulled out of presence, which ultimately will lead you into mastery of your own mind and ego. Is anyone interested in being a master of their own mind and ego? Hands up, please, because it's an essential key to awakening. There are two elements to true awakening. The first is presence, obviously. That's the most important. But actually, I can't say the most important. The second element is to be a master of your mind and ego, so you're no longer involuntarily pulled constantly back into the world of the mind, which is a world of illusion and separation. Now, I'm not against thinking, I'm not against the world of the mind. The problem is something very important is missing, and that's presence. Presence is missing as the foundation of our existence, the foundation of our life, even as we live in the world of time. Everything changes when presence becomes the foundation. Does anyone get what I'm saying? Please? Okay. Now, what I'm sharing is a very, very clear two-step path of awakening. Step one, learning the art of being present. Step two, arising in mastery of your mind and ego. And there are various aspects to step two which I'm not going to go into because I went into it last time. But these are the two steps. If you follow these two steps, you're going to notice a huge shift in your life. And you can still be a Buddhist, you can be a Christian, none of that matters, because this is at the heart of all of those things anyway. Presence is the one thing that's missing in everyone's life. When you were born, when you came into this world, you were an incredibly present being, a little baby, very present. But you came into a world where no one's present. And that's a dilemma you had to deal with as a very young child, and it's the dilemma we're all still trying to deal with. No one is present. Until they are. Okay, now, does anyone have a question? Just say your name, first name first.
Warren.
Hi, Warren.
Hi, Warren. When you hear, like, in the news, like, someone getting blown up in Afghanistan, like, can you be present for someone or help them enter presence even if you're not with them, or?
Okay. First of all, how do you know they're getting blown up?
We just hear it on the news, or?
Well, if you hear it on the news, it's already passed. It's already happened, right?
Well, you know they're in suffering, they're in grief, and they're not present.
Okay, I get what you're saying, and what you're saying has merit. There are plenty of people in the world who are practicing that kind of healing, whether it's a distant healing or whatever it is. That's not what this teaching is about. In fact, for you to really, really open into presence, in a way it's very, very limited. And people don't like this limitation. It's really limited to what is actually here in the moment with you right now. If you can see it, it's in the present moment. Hear it, feel it, taste it, touch it, smell it. But if it's not here, it's not here. How can you be present with something that's not here? Essentially, it's a function of the mind. You go into the mind. I remember someone was blown up over in Iraq or wherever. I'd like to send them healing energy. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not presence. It's not what I'm speaking about. And the reason everyone's getting blown up in the first place, the reason there's so much inequality, injustice, cruelty and abuse in our world really can be attributed to only one thing, and that is human unconsciousness. So the real solution is the awakening of consciousness. So you might have to pay the price in order to really awaken, to not get involved in that. You can get involved in it later, but not in the context of being present. First, wake up. Then you see what happens. If you feel moved towards any other kind of practice or healing or anything like that, I'm all for it, no problem. But not in the context of you being utterly here now. Because the only thing that exists in this moment is that which is here now. And at the deeper levels of presence, I could say, this. And right now, this is our universe, this is our world right here. If we don't use the thoughts to go into the mind and then go into an imaginary world or a world of memory. Does anyone get what I'm saying? You know, it's kind of extreme, but if you want to wake up, you have to be willing to accept what I'm saying. Does anyone have children? Put your hand up if you have children. Okay, no you don't. Does anyone have a car? Hands up. No, you don't. There's no car in this room. You can't see any. Can anyone be present with a flower right now? Yes, of course, because it's here. Can anybody be present with this sound? It's happening in this moment. You can be present with it. Now, at first it seems rather limiting because you have to really bring it in like this and then focus and zoom in a way. Okay, I'm present with you, Simon, in this moment. I could be present with your hands or your shoe or the chair. I could be present with you. I'm a free being. I can choose to be present with whatever I like. Now I'm present with the flower. Now this little black thing. Now you. I'm just here. Simple. So at first it's coming in like that, but what we don't realize is as we bring our focus in like this, suddenly it goes like that. Then you open up to another dimension, right? So it goes like that and then like that, which is actually a pretty good reflection of our relationship with God, actually, but that's another story. I am, 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 I am. God is. Now I've disappeared and only God is. That's that kind of. If you try and understand what I'm saying with your mind, you're bound to miss what I'm saying. Does that satisfy you, sir? Okay, good. And it doesn't mean you can't be an activist or a healer in any way you like, but first, seek ye first the kingdom of God, which in this language is seek ye first presence, the deepest level of presence. Okay, yes. Could you go back to the microphone, please?
I heard you speak a couple weeks ago at Lake Harriet, and I could feel this shift, let's just say. As time went on, you know, it was harder to feel that shift.
Mm-hmm. That's normal.
So, my question is over time, doing this practice or this awareness, what brings you back in?
Okay, first of all, if you go to the gym for the first time, or even a few times, are you going to have big muscles after going 3 or 4 times to the gym? The answer is no. It takes time to really develop those big muscles as you go to gym, week in, week out, month in, month out. But it's the same with presence. You develop your presence muscle every moment you're present. And if you had an experience in presence at Lake Harriet, right, and you felt quite present, if you did, I'm sure you felt quite peaceful and relaxed. That's great, but then it's not going to last until you basically apply step 2 as well, because the story will reclaim you fairly quickly. Remember, the story is everything outside of this moment. That's your story. Even walking up the stairs today, that's part of your story. Having children is part of your story. Having a car, it's all part of your story. It has nothing to do with this moment and your ability to be present with what is here in this moment. For you to know you have a car, you have to go into your mind and remember that. Or your children, you go into your mind and remember that. But then when you go home and you're with your children, you probably won't be present with them either. So much better to first be present here. Then when you go home, you can be present with your children, which is all they really need anyway. They need a mother and father who are present. And they need that from the moment of conception. Not even the moment of birth, the moment of conception.
Hi, my name is Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Based on what Warren said, I can understand he's watching this in the past, this horrible thing. It happened in the past. Mm-hmm. However, in the present moment, for me anyway, would be an experience of grief, pain in myself. And that's what's happening for me in the present, even though it's not outside me. So would that be being in the moment present with what you're experiencing?
Okay. Are you saying that not having anything to do with anything outside this room, as you tune in, you become present, you feel grief and sadness? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Even though the event happened in the very moment, right. You're watching the past, you get this experience in the present within you. And
No. What happens is you can have feelings in the moment, obviously. You could feel angry, you could feel hurt, you could feel grief, you could feel whatever, you could feel needy, you could feel fearful. The fact that you feel that right now is a part of the present moment, and you can't run away from it. You can't say, oh, I don't want to be present with that because it's painful. You have to be as willing to be as present with the feeling as you are with the flower.
That's what I was getting at.
Wait. The difference is that the feeling has a story woven into it. So can you feel the feeling and yet not get caught up in the story? You recognize it for what it is. It's coming from the past, it's coming from the story. It has nothing to do with this present moment. And the whole point in feeling the feeling is to allow the feeling to complete itself as it journeys through you. If you've had feelings repressed within you from the past, which most of us do, from childhood on, right, those feelings need to be liberated. Otherwise, they're constantly going to be projecting onto the present moment. So if you suddenly feel sad, right, you read something in the paper, you feel somebody says or does something, you suddenly feel sad, that sadness was already there. It's from your past. So by somebody saying or doing something that makes you feel sad or makes you feel angry, you really need to regard that as a gift, because that person was sent to you by God to trigger whatever's still buried within you, to give you the opportunity to liberate it, to let it complete its journey through you. Because it's really unhealthy for the body and for the soul to keep all these repressed feelings repressed within the body. So a part of the awakening process is, and this is all part of step 2, which I go into in great detail, but not tonight, how to be with these repressed feelings. How to be with anger in a way that will liberate the anger but not catch you in the story. How to be with the feeling of hurt, sadness, pain in a way that will liberate those feelings from your body but you don't get caught up in the story. You know it's all from the past, so it's okay to feel it. The only catch is, that's really only available to you, what I'm sharing with you, if you have a certain level of presence awake in you, because it's from presence. You recognize this has nothing to do with the present moment, it's from the past. Presence is transcendent of the mind. It's transcendent of the past and future. It's transcendent of the story. So it's from presence you can witness a thought arising or a feeling arising. You can allow the feeling to express whatever its story is and yet just be a witness to it as it expresses, not get lost in it. This is what the feelings need. This is the real key to healing, is to be present and allow the feeling to surface without getting caught up in its story. And the feeling itself needs this from you. It needs you to be present and not get lost in its story.
So last time I asked the question about rage and you took us through a rage meditation. So similarly, just in general, feelings for me specifically are very difficult to be present with and to have them.
No, they're not, but if you keep saying that, they will be.
Well, they have been.
Okay, but that can change. So we'll leave it there for now, okay? But that can
I was just hoping you'd take us through another process.
Probably not, but we'll see if we've got time. You know, we are planning on doing a longer event. We just don't know how or where. But at least a one-day, if not a weekend workshop. Who's interested in attending either a one-day or weekend workshop? Okay, then it'll probably happen. And then I'll really lay out the teaching in detail, as well as lots of healing. You see, the best way I can help assist you in getting through these feelings is to help to trigger the feeling within you, which I'm really good at. And then I'd have you out here in a chair next to me if we're doing a longer event, and you'd go through a whole process that would be very liberating. But I don't want to just describe it to your mind. Better to wait and then you experience it for yourself. Okay, Mary, could we have a question from the list? Because last time I got a lot of complaints that I didn't answer any questions from the video audience. So.
This question is from Ryan from Berkeley, California. Dear Leonard, one time I heard you say, when you are present, you are not anticipating what is going to happen next. I understand this. Although my mind can't help but anticipate or imagine what's going to happen next, and more often than not, it's just feeling like something bad is going to happen. My mind has not fully found safety in resting in presence, which also feels like the unknown. My question is something like, how can I guide my own mind to put to rest this habit of anticipation and rest more fully into presence and the unknown? Thank you so much, Leonard. With love, Ryan.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. First of all, you can't train your mind not to anticipate the future. That's the very nature of the mind. The very nature of the mind is either focused into the past or focused into the future. And when we go too far into the future, we create all sorts of anxiety for ourselves. And really, the future that we imagine and project into is nothing but the past projected forward. It's all a huge illusion. So you can't train the mind not to think about the future, but you can very gently bring yourself present. Even if your mind is silent for 3 seconds, now you're present, now you're an awakened being. That's good, relax. This is it. Then when the thoughts come in, 3 seconds, 10 seconds later, don't make that a problem, don't try and stop that. You just recognize it, notice it as it's arising. Oh, thinking. You might even say thinking past or thinking future. I wouldn't go beyond that, otherwise you're going to make the thinking more stronger. But just to acknowledge it, recognize it, call it, name it. Thinking. It's actually worth saying it aloud. Thinking. It's like you're catching it, but you're catching it in a way that you're not in any way against it, opposed to it, trying to stop it, judging it. You just catch it thinking. Then you come back to presence. 3 seconds later, another thought. Thinking. But that's okay. Don't turn against it. Don't try and stop it. Don't struggle against it. Just notice it. There you are. Good thing. Good. Thank you, thought. Thank you. Good thought. Back to presence. Not for, not against. Back to presence. Slowly, slowly, the space will get bigger and bigger within you, between the thoughts, where you're just present. Your mind is silent. And slowly, slowly, your mind, your ego will begin to trust the flowering of presence from within. The only thing that the ego will surrender to is the awakened you. But it'll test you. Is this really the awakened you? Is this really the true master arising from within? And the moment you try and stop or get rid of anything, that's a form of judgment. And you know, the ego knows that the true master is without judgment. The presence dimension of you is without judgment. So if it can catch you into judgment, you're not the true master. It's not going to relax. Slowly, slowly, though, it will relax as it trusts the flowering of presence from within. It takes time. Step 1, step 2, step 1, step 2. Bringing awareness to all the ways you're pulled out of the present moment. How does that happen? Is it the resistance of the ego? Is it denial or judgment of who you've become? Is it the repressed feelings projecting onto the present? Or are you losing yourself in others, looking for love, acceptance, approval? Am I good enough? Then you lose yourself in the other. You give away the power. So it's a process. It's a gentle, gentle process that slowly starts to open up, and you find yourself more and more in presence without even trying. And presence is not a practice. You can't practice presence. It's a gentle remembering. You notice you're in the mind, now you're present. That's all it is. In the mind again, now I'm present with the body breathing. The sound I hear. The feeling of the chair against my back. I'm present with what is here. So Ryan, you're being way too hard on yourself. You're trying way too hard and you're practicing presence which won't work. So you have to ask yourself, what is the motivation in seeking or pursuing presence? And often it's the ego that sets us off on the path of awakening, the path of enlightenment or spirituality, because the ego either sees awakening as the ultimate accomplishment or one of the ways to escape the pain of living in a world where no one is present. And this is too simple. I'm here, you're here, that's it. I don't expect anything from you. You don't expect anything from me. I don't have an opinion about you. You don't have an opinion about me. We're just here. The mind is silent. And this is where we meet and come together in true communion, in oneness. And you can feel it. No thinking. Okay, does anyone else have a question? Okay, in the back first, thank you.
Hi, my name is Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Hello. I'm just wanting to trying to grasp clarification of the teaching and a metaphor that's kind of dropped in, and I wanted to run it by you.
Okay.
It's as though we're trying to, or it's as though our consciousness or our awareness is, the idea is trying to get them to be like a multi-sensory video recorder, where it's just recording in here.
That's not a bad way to put it.
Okay.
And not, as that multi-dimensional video recorder, I can zoom in on you and do a zoom-in shot, and a very, very precise, very focused, or I can widen the angle. Now I'm present with this side of the room, but I'm also present with, or aware of this side. I'm aware of the flowers. I can see them in my peripheral vision. So it's not a bad analogy, actually.
Yeah.
But with this video camera, there's no output. You don't. It's not actually recording.
No.
Okay.
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 Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's quite a good analogy, actually. I'm just here present with what is here. My consciousness is taking in this moment, present with this moment, in this moment, and as this moment. The awakened state of presence is not something we achieve. It's not something we grow into. It's something we relax into, and it's something that we reveal, that's always been there and always will be. But it's so, in a way, unfortunate that so many of us are disconnected from that truth and reality of who we are and what life really is. The truth of love, the truth of God, the truth of oneness. Okay, who else had their hand up? I know you did, Simon, but you make me nervous when you put your hand up. Okay, can you go to the back?
Hi, I'm Judith.
Judith, hi Judith.
I hope I can ask this correctly. I've been on a journey for a long time. So at this point, I am finding that my mind is mostly silent. And when it isn't, I can bring it back fairly easily.
Good.
But I'm wondering, what is the feeling that comes when you are truly present? Because my understanding is that that's when you're always in a state of bliss and oneness, and the energy comes up. And
if that's what you're looking for, you will never find it.
Okay.
You can sit and I'll answer you once from here. And this is one of the big mistakes that so many people make on the spiritual path. And no one can blame anyone for making such a mistake, because that's what's presented and promoted is, you know, you'll feel ecstasy, you'll feel bliss, you'll be in oneness and heaven on earth. Oh my goodness, I've been talking about that too, right? But often the present moment is actually quite ordinary. You're just here. It's ordinary, but at least you're not lost in a world of illusion. You're here in the truth of life. And if you just tune in just a little bit more and not reject it as ordinary, because the ego and the mind would love to reject it as ordinary, this is nothing. What can I do with this? Where's the bliss? Where's the ecstasy? Let's keep going, says the ego. Let's keep looking. That's the ego's trick, right? But if you relax and you accept this flower or this moment as it is, not looking for more, but nothing's missing at the same time, then it can open up at a deeper level for you. But not if you're wanting it. You can't look for it, because looking for it is seeking, and that which you're seeking is already here. That's the dilemma. So, but to respond to your question, how do you go to those deeper levels? Okay, so first, just be present, rather than lost in the story, lost in the mind. And I can see in you that your mind is silent, and you're very ready for this. You're right on the mark, right? So that's great. But the next level, once you're present, is not what does the present moment have to offer you, which is still the ego at work. I want bliss, I want ecstasy, I'm looking for enlightenment. That's still the ego bringing me into the equation. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Right. So as you deepen into presence and as you open up into more and more of the awakened state, it's no longer what's in it for me. It shifts to what do you have to bring to the present moment. And the truth is the only thing you have to bring to the present moment is the gift of presence. It's such a gift. Every moment you're present with these flowers or this table, or if you're outside, the trees, the sky, the birds, whatever, just by being present, you're bringing a beautiful gift to the present moment, actually to the body of God. It's like saying to God, I'm here now. I'm here now with you. I'm not lost in my story. And then that opens up the more mystical dimensions. Now, not that you're looking for that, but that's actually what happens. Now, there's another element to it, which is some of us are not that generous, not that grateful. It's just not natural to us. With you, that's not the case. I can see that it's in you, the generosity and the openness. But it's like your energy is literally overflowing with generosity as you behold the flowers or the tree or another being. There's a generosity, you're not doing it, it's just who you are. There's a generosity and a gratitude, then it really opens up. But you can't manufacture that artificially. If it's not there, the only way you can get to, if generosity of being and spirit is not there, the only way you can get to it is to own and acknowledge and confess your lack of generosity. You walk around for weeks recognizing how ungenerous you are, but without judgment, without trying to change anything, just acknowledging it. Wow, I'm not that generous. I don't want you to be awakened, Simon, if I'm not. That's not generous. You see what I'm saying? You wish the best for everyone. It's a generosity. The more generous you are, the more this flower will start to open up and it'll reveal heaven and earth to you. The present moment is the doorway. But it's not what the present moment can bring for you. It's the other way. That's why so few people are really interested, because the ego is going to be an obstacle to that. The ego's basic position is, well, what's in it for me? How do I use this? How do I take advantage? So the ego will figure it out very quickly. There's nothing here for me. And I say to the ego, you're right. There's nothing here. Or there's silence here. And one of the strongest feelings you feel as you become present is not bliss or ecstasy. That might arise, but it will also pass. But the most consistent feeling is a feeling of peace that arises from the center of your being. And that peace is also silence. An infinite silence at the center of your being. As your mind becomes silent, because you're becoming present, you're not trying to stop the mind, but as your mind becomes silent and thoughts stop all by themselves, because now you're present, right? Suddenly, another level of silence begins to open from the center of your being. And that's who you are. You're this infinite silence. And that's who and what God is as well. That's where you come together into oneness. Okay? Now, what's your mind? What's your mind comparing and thinking and analysing? Because your mind doesn't know the truth. Not one thought you have about anything is the truth. Sorry to say, folks. Not one belief you have about anything is true. Not one belief. In fact, belief is an obstacle to truth. And the whole world is lost and caught in belief, including religious beliefs. Belief in God is an obstacle to knowing God. Now, sooner or later, everyone's going to have to deal with that. Belief in God is an obstacle to knowing God. It's possible to know God through direct experience, but only at the deeper levels of presence. God is real, God is here now, but we are not. We've become lost in the past and future world of the mind, in the story. So if you want to experience the living presence of God directly, you have to come to where God is, which is this moment. And God's not going to appear next to me as some great big being. God is the silent presence at the very heart of all things present, including you. Okay, Mary, shall we have another question from the list? I don't want to get into trouble from the video audience.
This question is from Beverly from San Marcos, California. Leonard, please explain the difference between being present and the practice of mindfulness. Thank you so much for your webcast and sharing the teaching. Fondly, Beverly.
Okay. What was the name, Mary?
Beverly.
Beverly. Okay, Beverly, thank you for your question. I'll answer when everyone is present. So the question itself revealed the difference, the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a practice of bringing awareness, conscious awareness, to whatever's going on within the mind or feelings arising. All of that is great, highly necessary and essential. But then the question is, who is mindful? I am. Presence, silence, pure consciousness. I am that. I am. It's a completely different level as you can be mindful from within the mind. You don't have to transcend the mind to be mindful of it. But as you transcend the mind and you open in fully into the present moment, then who are you? There's no practice. I'm just here. If a thought arises, of course I catch it immediately. That's mindfulness, but I'm not practicing it. I'm just present, aware of whatever shows up. If a thought arises, I catch it immediately. I'm aware of it. If a feeling arises, I'm aware of it. If I have an itch in my back, instantly, I'm aware of it. I'm not even sure whether you'd call that mindful. It doesn't really matter. But the real goal of awakening is to awaken into that dimension of you that is of this moment and only of this moment. To be fully present. Then I can ask you, well, who is fully present in this moment? I am. That's the awakened you. I am. The I am presence. When Moses walked up the mountain and was speaking to the burning bush, and he was told by God to go liberate the people, Moses asked God, who shall I say has sent me? And the answer was, tell them, I am that I am has sent you. And at the deepest level, that's who you are. I am that. I am. I am that pure consciousness. I am that. I am. I am that silence. I am that peace. Or if I'm really present with this flower, at the very deepest levels of presence, I can legitimately say, I am that flower. I am that. Because all separation dissolves. Now you don't go looking for that. That's not what it's about. It's enough just to be present. At least you're not lost in a world of illusion. You're not lost in your story. Because to be lost in the story can be very painful and has so many limitations. All the limiting beliefs from childhood, all the repressed feelings, all the judgments of yourself and others. Am I good enough? All that comes into play when you're living from within the mind. And that's your home, that's where you live. But it's possible for there to be a shift in your home. Now you live in the world of now. You can still use the mind, you can still think, but you don't live there anymore. Then where do you live? I live in the world of now. I play in the world of time, but I am not of the world of time. Then which world are you of, sir? I am of the world of now. And that's true for everyone, whether you know it or not. Well, actually, no, you have to first wake up. Then you can declare, I play in the world of time, but I am of the world of now. This is my home, this is where I live. And once that happens, you're living a different life. And not just this lifetime. There's a whole nother dimension that I haven't spoken about, which is the soul dimension. The truth is we are all champions of the soul, and it's only through your awakening in this lifetime that the soul will be delivered to its ultimate destination, which is a return to oneness. It can't happen without you here in this lifetime. In that way you are the champion of the soul. When you find yourself into presence and oneness, suddenly the soul dimension of you comes into oneness. When you're caught back into the story, the soul's caught back into its story. And this keeps going until you settle fundamentally into presence. God, it is accomplished. I am here now. At last, I am here now. I've freed myself from my story. I still have a story, of course. Whenever I go into the mind, the story's there, but I'm no longer believing it, I'm no longer caught in it, lost in it, imprisoned within this story, because I know where the truth is. Now, some people are ready for this teaching, and some aren't. You know, you have to be. You shall be known by your response.
This is a comment from Nancy from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay, before you read it, Mary, I just wanted to say sometimes people submit questions, other times they submit comments, which we love to hear, just their response to the last event or whenever. Thank you, Mary.
Greetings, dear Leonard and Mary. Recently, I was watching one of your videos at the monthly gathering we host here in Santa Fe. It was from several years ago, and in it you said something to the effect, "Nothing has ever really happened." It had a profound effect on me. Time collapsed. My adventure over time, maybe lifetimes, were just a blink of the eye, and like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, who wakes up from her dream, I realized I have never gone anywhere at all, always and timeless here. What a profound mystery. Thank you, Leonard and Mary, for your teachings. Love, Nancy.
Okay, that's just beautiful, Nancy, and that says it all. I don't need to say anything about that. And it's true, if you're really present, it's like nothing ever happened. I'm just here. What's all the fuss about? How could I be lost for so long? I'm just here, nothing ever happened. Okay. If you do have a question, please don't hold back. Okay, would you go back there? And because it really would be unfortunate to leave here with an unanswered question, or even with thoughts like, oh, what a load of old crap. At least stand up and say that, and then we'll deal with it. We'll do battle until one of us perishes. Yes.
My name is Juan Figueroa.
Who?
Juan Figueroa.
Great name. Juan.
Juan.
Hi, Juan.
Hi, Juan. I am a middle school teacher, and I work with sixth graders. And I have the challenge of dealing with 140 students every day, and they come to my room with different situations, with different struggles that each individual have to face in their lives, right. and that creates a lot of stress in my room. The energy is sometimes very heavy, and how can I be present in a situation like that when I have students with with different needs and different.
Okay, let me be very, very clear. I'll wait until everyone's present, because that's what this teaching is about presence. It's a really good question, and it's good for you to know, but you'll recognize it yourself at a much deeper level as you become more and more present, right? And you're already pretty present, so let me say that first. But you'll begin to recognize that what's missing in everyone's life, including all of these children, is that no one's ever been present with them. And if no one's really present, they're not really going to feel loved, because the love is always conditional if it's there at all. They're not going to feel accepted as they are, because the acceptance that comes from people who are not present is always conditional. And they feel like there's no one really here for them. And so they're going to act out in all sorts of ways. So if you can forget about the children and focus on bringing yourself present, let that be your journey for a little while, just you, really learning to be present in all sorts of situations, then you'll be able to be present with the kids, even as they're sharing all their issues with you. They're going to respond. I promise you they will respond to you. The more present you are, they'll respond to that presence. So you also have to get past the idea of you're here to help them, because that won't help them. It's not about you helping them. That puts a tremendous burden of responsibility onto you, which would prevent you from being present with them. But just being present, listening to them, asking them questions, letting them express. To me, that's all I can really suggest. If I was a teacher at your school, or I was to come with you and set up a little program in your classes, first I'd introduce present classes. Okay, kids, we're going to learn how to be present. All it means is you're going to be present with this flower, just for 3 seconds, and everything else can disappear, kids. All your problems are gone, right? Then, I know most of you are carrying around feelings from the past, so I'm going to teach you the anger meditation. The kids have such a good time with the anger meditation. We'd help them kill their parents 3 or 4 times, right? Then maybe the hurt meditation. Does anyone in this classroom feel sad or hurt? Yeah, I do. Then we'll give them the crying meditation. All right, everybody start crying. Don't try and stop it, just cry. Okay, crying is over now. Let's get angry again. You'd play with it. These are things the kids just don't know. Nobody's exposed them to any of it. But the most important thing would be showing them how to be present and point out to them that, hey, let's look at your story right now. What story are you living in? Now, I don't know whether they're ready for that or not, but they might be. You know, I go to China a lot, and it's interesting in China, I get a lot of young kids coming, as young as 6 or 8. They sit there for a whole 5-day retreat, glued, just listening to everything I'm saying. It's amazing to me. And they get it. Sort of. Okay, that's all I can suggest. But the real gift you can bring to all those students is the gift of presence. Just be present with them. I'll share one more thing with you. Many, many years ago, it was after my first awakening, I got a job as a counsellor, which I should never have gotten. I had no right to be doing that, but I got it anyway. And the very first session counselling that I ever did with anyone was this guy who was very, very disturbed. And so I was giving him a session. And at the end of the session, he said to me, "This is the best session I've ever had in my life. My whole life has changed. I can't believe how good I feel. This is amazing, the best thing that's ever happened to me." I didn't say one word throughout the entire session. Not one word. But I was very present with him. That's what was healing for him. Okay?
My name is Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Can you speak a little bit to being in the present moment, but then also thinking about the future when it comes to like enough money for my retirement, or like that type of things?
No problem. Do you want to come and I'll answer you when you come back? It was Tony, wasn't it? Okay, it's a really good question, because people can get the wrong impression that, oh, well, if I'm present and my mind is silent, how am I going to function in the world? How can I plan my future? How can I remember my past? And the answer is, you are a multidimensional being. But for the sake of this response to you, it's enough to say that there are two dimensions of you. There's the dimension of you living within the story, living in the world of time, with all your memories that go way back to early childhood, some of them difficult, some of them painful, all your beliefs, all of those things, the feelings repressed, and then you can go into the future with all your plans, right? Nothing wrong with any of that. But as you become present, you can plan the future. Like, say I want to go to Hawaii next month. Well, of course I'm going to have to think about that, plan that. I've got to book the airfare. I've got to book the hotel. Maybe think about, do I have the right size suitcase or whatever. So of course I have to think about that. It would be ridiculous otherwise. But that doesn't mean I have to then live in the story until I get on the plane to Hawaii. I make the steps, I make the plan, I identify the steps I have to take, no problem. And then I'm back into the present moment until it's time for the next step. I have to book the hotel. So I book the hotel, no problem. I do it beautifully, I do it well. I'm not anxious about the hotel. I do all the research I need to. Then I come back to presence until the next step. Now let's say you're at work and you're very busy. You've got a lot of different, maybe you're an accountant or a lawyer or whatever, but obviously you have to use your mind a lot. Forget about presence. Don't worry about presence at work, but every hour, once an hour, just stop everything. And say you're sitting at your desk. Just be present with the pen on the desk, just for 30 seconds. But be really present with the pen, let everything else go. I'm here now, pen, or it might be a flower or a plant on the desk. I'm here now. I haven't forgotten you. I know where the truth is. It is here with you, plant, or it is here with you, pen. Now, pen, you're very lucky. You don't have to go to work. You don't have a story. You too, flower, you're also very lucky. I've got a story. I live in the world of time. So I play in the world of time. So I've got to go back to work now, but I'll be back. It's kind of a playful attitude, letting the present moment know that you know. Then you don't have to be present all the time. In fact, 20 seconds a day in presence will transform your life. It's enough, as long as it's pure presence. As long as you can come out of the story completely, now you're here. Not one thought. And not only are you here, but you're here in a way that is so honoring of the present moment. The present moment literally can feel that you're present now. And it can feel the energy you're bringing to it. It might seem strange, but this flower can feel when you become present with it. And it will respond in a very mysterious way. Not a way that you'll understand with your mind. So you don't have to be present all the time, that's the good news. But you do have to know where the truth is. And I can sum up this entire teaching in one sentence. In truth, there is no life outside of this moment. That's it. Sooner or later, we're all going to have to recognize that simple truth. In truth, there is no life outside of this moment. It's impossible to live outside of this moment, and yet we all do. How is that possible? Because we leave the present moment through the power of thought. But we're entering a world of illusion made up of memory and imagining. That's okay, nobody's judging it or saying it shouldn't be here. As long as you know where the truth is. You don't go so far into the story that you get lost there. So if you're at work and you notice anxiety is arising, then be present with that anxiety. See if you can't identify where is this anxiety coming from within my story? How am I creating this anxiety within my story? What am I missing? So the moment you identify it, it'll relax and then you can be present again.
This question is from Colette from Hawaii. Hello. I'm going through late-stage cancer and believe that my suppressed emotions are part of the problem. Do you think it's okay to review my life story to find these hidden emotions so that I can release them? I understand that in being present, everything will come up in time, but I don't know how much time I have and feel rushed to do this work. Thank you, Colette.
Okay, thank you, Colette, for your question. And the answer is a huge, huge resounding yes. Bring up your story. What is still unhealed within your story? What is unresolved? Are you still carrying any feelings like resentment, guilt, blame, expectation that have not been, unfulfilled needs? Are you still carrying any of those feelings? And to identify what your story in this lifetime is so important. Now, here's the good news. There's only one story. We're all lost in the one story. Exactly the same story. And the story basically is this. I came into a world where no one is present. As a very present little being, I came into a world where no one is present. I didn't feel the love, I didn't feel the acceptance, I didn't feel attended to in the way I needed, which made me feel unsafe and separate. So I spend the rest of my life trying to fill those gaps. Do you love me? Am I okay? Tell me I'm good enough. Do you approve of me? Am I worthy? What can I say to please you? Please don't reject me. Please don't judge me. This is our story. We become further and further lost in the story as we pursue these substitute needs. And they're all substitute needs. If you're present, you are love. There's nothing you can do about it. If you're present, you are love. So if you're pursuing love in your life, it just means you've forgotten who you are. And then you lose yourself in the process, or you get all involved with the object of your love, which happens so often. And that can turn very sour very quickly. So, Colette, I would also encourage you to have a private session with me, and I can help you examine your story and see if there's anything you've missed.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Got my question answered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20
That
seconds.
brought me to tears in many points.
Yeah.
At many points. Yeah.
I can't hear you, Pat. Can you get closer to your mic?
I said it brought me to tears at many points.
Hmm.
Yeah. Very profound. I loved it.
Do you feel that you want to get more out of this one presentation in some way? Do you feel that you want to spend time talking about it for the next session, or breaking it up more like the previous video was done? How can your needs be met?
How can what?
How can your needs in relation to this be met? What would help you the most?
Not hearing you.
What would you desire the most for the next step? Do you want to go over this more? It is a little bit past 11:30 right now. So the next thought is, shall next Tuesday be spent discussing this, or do you want to play parts of it and discuss parts of it? Okay, because I just want to give Jerry a heads up as to what would be most fulfilling for you.
I actually took a ton of notes this time.
I did too.
And so that will help, bring me back to it. I think I don't need to listen to a segment again. We could just have the conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I think that would be a more difficult video to try and parse through.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of just talking about what we took in our notes as in just an open conversation. That would be my preference.
Alternatively, I'm going to stop my video here. Alternatively, we could email Jerry some things that we're really interested in talking about, and he might be able to find segments of the video to kind of, if there's anybody new who hadn't seen it, would kind of help pull them in. Just a thought.
That's a great idea too.
It could help him give a summary too, which will bring back more thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And won't this video be available on the website too, with the class, and be recording this?
Yes. Oh, yes, I should probably turn that off, huh?